So, guys, wow, so many great conversations, so much insight from everyone from so many different places in the design and innovation space, right? I'm excited to now introduce Chang. Look, post-pandemic world, we're all realizing how we, quality of life, we're realizing how we need to really step up and, use our voices. And so Chang is going to bring us around to the near the end of our event. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about her background for the few of you who don't know her. Chang is an industrial designer, bridging modern design and social activism. She's the co-founder and VP of design of Crave, a San Francisco-based company specializing in aesthetic pleasure products. T's first design at Crave debuted through a crowdfunding project to become the world's first crowdfunded sex toy. Since then, T has continued to lead the concept and design for the company's full line of products, including its celebrated sex jewelry. She's credited with mainstreaming the category of sex jewelry in pop culture with the introduction of Vesper vibrator necklace in 2014, which two people will win, actually. T has won international design awards and has led Crave to mainstream partnerships with the likes of Nordstrom's, MoMA Design Store, Stanford Hotel, Goop, and Saint Laurent. Prior to Crave, T bootstrapped her first company, Incognito, in 2008, a line of intimate accessories that double as fashionable jewelry, which was acquired by Crave in 2010. I'm excited to bring T up to the stage. T. Hello. I'm going to go ahead and...
Hello, can y'all hear me? Hey.
Thank you so much for being patient, and I hope we've caught you. I know you've got a meeting. You have a hard stop at 5?
Yeah, but I can maybe less than 5 minutes. I can probably make that work.
Okay.
All good. Yeah, it was great conversations, y'all. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. All right, let me go ahead and let you take it over.
Okay. So hello, everyone. I'm super excited. This is my first time attending Angela's conference, and from the conversation I've heard, it sounds amazing. So I am going to share my screen with you all. Let's see, here we go. Let's see. Share. All right, let's do this. All right, can y'all still see me or no? Or I don't know.
Yes, we do see you.
Okay,
we see you and we see the slides. We see you in the...
Okay, fantastic. Okay, awesome. Okay, I just didn't know if I made goofy faces, like you'd see it. Okay. All right, cool. So we're going to talk about something called design activism, and it's all about working towards change and fulfillment. And I know that for this particular topic, I have to point out some things. And the biggest elephant in the room right now is that there's a huge problem with the A word, activism. For many of you who are working in corporations or gainfully employed, many people at the top of corporations are like, ugh, activism, like, no, I don't know about that. Because this word is often associated with some myths, and I want to talk about those things. So when people say activist or say I'm an activist, they immediately think activism requires crazy things like getting arrested or protesting, or you having to move to a third world country and volunteer there or whatnot. That's not the case. These are specific tactics of very specific things like political activism, and so that is not what activism, is about. Another misconception is that, as I've been on this topic for a while, when I say activism, people usually think that's someone else's job. Like, they're like, that's somebody else. I mean, because I'm just an engineer. I'm just a designer. Like, I don't no, change. No, that's somebody else. No. Because change has always been created by people, ordinary people like you and I. Like when Rosa Parks got on that bus, she wasn't like, I'm going to be an activist today. She was trying to get from A to B. And finally, she decided to stand up because she has had enough. And she wanted to stand up to this injustice. So I want to hopefully share with you that this is something that we are all part of no matter what we do, whether it's design or not or otherwise. And then myth number 3, activism doesn't have a place at work. I completely disagree. Activism has a place at work. And actually, we're going to talk about that because my form of activism, design activism, has been the only way that I've worked. And perhaps there's something here that you can take with you as well. Because to me, activism is about working to bring about change. Because for me, I wanted to spend my 9 to 5 being able to make a difference. Now, I know some people do activism on the side outside of their work. That is all awesome. That is great. Okay. But this idea is that activism belongs at work because it is work, no matter what you do or where you work, whether it's a good small corporation doing a startup, whatever, it belongs in how you work. Now, the thing with activism is that there are so many issues in this world. Like, therefore, the way you approach it is going to look very, very different. So taking that action is going to be different for different people. So for example, here's Jamie. She is a climate change activist. Here are some faces of other activists some that I didn't even know existed because I didn't even know design activism was a thing that I could actually do. And here's an example. Evelyn Nam, social media activist. She has a great social media account called Herspective. Chris Hone, hedge fund activist. Did you even know there was such a thing? Like, anyone? I didn't know, but he was one of the people that was behind the whole Shell thing that happened earlier this year. You can be an actress and an activist. You can be a journalist and an activist. So basically, point is, activism exists in so many different ways. All right. And I think many of us are very familiar with Paola. So one of the things that she said, I think, really accurately captures this, which is you can be a designer and an activist, and you can be a curator and be an activist. Activism can be very quiet or very loud. Anyone can be an activist. There are so many different ways. So I hope that plants a seed in your mind that activism is something within your reach. It's within everyone's reach. And so for me, I've been industrial design for about 18 plus years. And I call myself a design activist entrepreneur. And I wish I knew about design activism much earlier in my career, and that is a way that you can approach your work and how you operate and show up as a designer. And for me, I call myself this because I've found my skill set as an industrial designer, and a cause that I'm passionate about, and that became my activism. And my cause is that I believe design activism is to uplift those who are underrepresented and underserved, and mainly women. And now please note that when I say design activism, this is not the only way. This is just my way. All right. And like I said, there are many, many different approaches. So I'm just giving you a little bit of my journey because it's like, how did this crazy woman come about, becoming a design activist? So I'm going to share with you why and how I came on this journey. So, over the course of my career, I've worked in consultancy. I've worked mainly at also in-house for in-house design of major brands. I've designed consumer products, furniture. And the one thing that was very helpful in pointing me to my cause was that I was the first female industrial designer hired at a bicycle company. I won't say their name. And on my first day of work, I believe it was like a few hours after orientation, I had to use the bathroom. And I asked where was the bathroom, and everyone kind of looked around. And that's when we all realized that there was no women's bathroom in the design studio. I was the first woman with 13 guys. That incident, now, of course, I was good humored. I was like, okay, yeah, this is ridiculous. But that incident told me everything I needed to know about how women are not considered, not only in spaces, but also within our industry of industrial design. I mean, here are the numbers. This is very recent. This is from the past couple of years. This is the percentage of female industrial designers in the UK and in the US. In the UK, it's 5%. This study was done in 2018. In the US, 19%, a little better. Now here's the kicker. In oil and gas workforce and waste management, you are more likely to find a female senior manager in waste management than you are a female industrial designer in the US. This is really, really pitiful. So these are numbers that justify that verified my own lived experience of having been the first female in several of my jobs, and many women who are industrial designers that I've spoken to. But the biggest problem with this, I'm sure you all know where I'm going with this, is that this results in subpar products for women, and in some cases can harm them. And things like, there are microaggressions like, breast pumps that are not ideal. I mean, we've been feeding babies since the beginning of mankind, but however, it is only in the last 5 years, we have now breast pumps that women are able to move about and be free instead of sitting there and milking and feeling dehumanized, okay? Seatbelts. To this day, we don't even have seatbelts that actually fit pregnant women. And so for me, with this realization, because I became very attuned to how women are left out of products, I started looking at the sex toy space, which is the pleasure products, which is the area I looked at. And I was just kind of shocked at how ridiculous they were and how embarrassing the shopping experiences, are terrible. The product all super unimaginative. And, which is also so crazy because all of these are so phallic and whatnot, but only less than 20% of women can actually climax via penetration, but yet that's the majority of the products that are out there. So there's definitely a big disconnect between anatomically what gets women off and also what men think women want, because this was an industry that traditionally has always been and still is dominated by men. Okay, so I really wanted to change that. And so I became co-founder of Crave in 2010. And for me, it was about elevating the aesthetics, the design of these products, the aesthetics of these products, as well as changing how culturally we talk about these things, okay? The thing with aesthetics is really important in design, especially when it comes to stigmatized products, is because when something is beautiful, it stops you in its tracks. You look at it differently. You're like, that's really interesting. And also, because these products have traditionally been things that you hide under your bed, you are embarrassed to purchase, by having beautiful products, it changes completely how women interact with them. They no longer feel ashamed having to hide them and stash them away and be stressed about oh my God, did I put it away or is it left out charging? And so one of our products, the Vesper, which is the photo in the middle, the necklace, came out in 2014. It became one of our most popular products. And so I'm going to talk about how this product is a great example of how I believe I was able to help shift this conversation. The product itself was not something that you had to hide because it was pretty and women felt comfortable wearing them if they wanted to. The product is also a vibrator that you can just take out the necklace, you can keep at home. So each to their own, okay? But the magic about this product is that because of its aesthetics and also the functionality, it worked, it was beautiful, women felt comfortable enough to wear it out. They were starting conversations with other people. They were going, to brunches, to the bar, or whatever with their friends. And suddenly they're having a conversation about pleasure that they otherwise would not have had. And in spaces where something is stigmatized, conversation is the key to normalizing that. So with that, success, the media and things like that followed. I realized we kind of struck a chord in pop culture. Plenty of celebrities organically wearing them. I swear we don't have the kind of money where we seed them with products it just showed up on celebrities and it's on talk shows like Samantha Bee and Stephen Colbert. These are all things that we do not plan, but it just kind of went out into the ether. And we also did a collaboration with Saint Laurent just in 2020 and with their Valentines. But the most important thing is that we started to be picked up by legacy retailers like Nordstrom. the reason this is hugely, hugely impactful is that vibrators were purchased traditionally at very seedy shops that women did not feel comfortable going into, but you had to because those were the only places that were available. But then to have someone like Nordstrom pick products like this up, it sends a signal that it is destigmatizing this space. And it is saying that pleasure is part of women's wellness. So this is, I think, the moment when I realized that I kind of accidentally became an activist because of the cultural and social impact that my product has had. Oh, sir, Uday, I think your mic is on, just FYI. Yeah. And this for me was kind of this moment where I realized the impact of my designs. I've always wanted to do good and support women, but I couldn't see in such clear way the impact of how design can elevate something that's super important to women, to humanity in a very tangible way. So what I want to share is that I think the way that we have been working hasn't really been working. I know that sounds kind of weird. Is because we decided that we should not be emotional about our work. We should not focus on things we cared about. We are just a cog in the company. And I want to share this framework because of what I do and a lot of people that I have talked to who participate in activism, how they think about their activism. And perhaps these are 3 simple tips that maybe you can take away that can help you find your own activism, because these are applicable to anyone who, whether you want to start a company or you're working in a company or you're just starting out, okay? It really applies to anyone. And this is really in 3 simple steps. The first one is emotional reaction to an injustice. The same way that when I saw the sex toys, I was like, I don't know, why do women have to put up with this? That emotional reaction is sort of your brain and your body telling you like, something's not right here before your like logical brain can articulate exactly why something is wrong or doesn't seem right. So by honing in to your emotional reaction to something, there's an inkling there. You have to kind of pay attention, okay? Oops, sorry. The next step is awakening, okay? So you see something, they're like, this is not right, all right? Then if you can do the work by becoming more educated about that topic, because a lot of these these problems, they're not simple, otherwise they would have already been solved. A lot of problems are not black and white, it's very gray. And so there are a lot of nuances to how, there's a lot of nuances on how you can approach something, and the best way is to start by getting educated. And by being educated, you kind of become awakened, all right? And third, if you feel awakened, if you have found the right activism that speaks to you, most likely you want to take some kind of action. And this action is sort of based on your skill set and also your comfort level. I really want to emphasize that taking action is not just like, I'm going to do this. No, to take action, because you're now educated in some of the issues about it, you have to try different things. And so taking action often for people start out looking like volunteering with local organizations whose cause that you believe in, just to test it out. See if you're comfortable with protesting, if that's what you want to do. See if you're comfortable with working in a soup kitchen or whatever it is. First, test that. And then you're going to learn a lot more than just pontificating from like the sidelines saying, hey, I think they should do this to fix this. By getting some skin in the game, you will learn some of the nuance. You have to kind of be part of the organization in order to learn how you can break it and make it better. So, so these are just kind of like these 3 simple things that I think can help guide your moral compass and perhaps how you can align your talent as either a designer or manager or whatever, and into a cause that you believe in. And here's the most important part. Please do not be impatient, because some people think, oh, I'm going to be a design activist and then I'm going to go out like a designer. No, because this doesn't exist. I mean, if you're a young designer and you're like, I want to be a design activist, those jobs don't exist because most companies out there don't want to do good. It's not, I mean, they may, it's people within it may want to do good, but generally a lot of companies these days, it's all about the revenue. However, I will say there are companies now that are shifting in how they think about what is real success. It's not just about the revenue, but also about social impact. And there's a lot of startups that are very mission-based and whatnot. So think of design activism as a North Star. And it's not immediate. It's something that you start to navigate and work yourself towards. And if you're in a job right now that you're not satisfied with, that you hate, guess what? That's actually part of the process. You have to do those things so that you can actually gain skills. Because without skills, you're not going to be very influential or effective in whatever it is that you want to impact. And the reason I want to bring up this idea is because being able to find your activism and being able to work in a way that aligns with your morals, that is how people find satisfaction and fulfillment and meaning in their work. So yeah, so the last slide, look, act as if what you do makes a difference, because it does. And I also want to give you just this really interesting parallel. My partner used to be a sound engineer, and he mentioned that when you hear a piece of music, it has been highly produced. There's been a lot of things going on in the back end that you don't know about. And there's been tons of little changes that it's made to make it sound the way it does. And you can't hear those individual changes that they have made. But when enough of those changes happen, you can suddenly hear it. And that is very much the idea of design activism, and how what you do, no matter how small or how big, it makes a difference.